We'll start off with Guglielmo Vicario. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 7. I thought he dealt with everything well that came his way. I mean, the saves that he was making was kind of like all routine saves. But what he did do really well that I was very impressed with, the way he commanded and controlled his box. I think that was really impressive and caught and claimed quite a few crosses. And I was actually giving him a lot of praise, and then 2 minutes later he kicked the ball out for no reason. But yeah, look, I thought he was decent yesterday.
Yeah, that's something he doesn't get enough credit for how that he's kind of kicked out of his game, how flappy he was from corners and things and crosses. He's become a lot more assured of himself. He's definitely worked on that. Unfortunately, there still was a lot he has to work on, but that was good. In terms of like saves he had to make, I think, to be honest, their finishing was really poor. Every time was over the bar, so he didn't actually have to make too many saves. So that was fine. Yeah, he had a standard game. I think he was pretty solid. I wasn't worried about him making a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely.
6.6 is the fan rating.
Yeah, so exactly in between us. So kind of makes sense. The fans have got a similar view of me and you combined. So they've gone for 6.6. I saw his parents as well at half time. They were... I didn't really see them smile, but...
No, not in good spirits. They usually have had a few drinks.
Yeah, they usually have good... I mean, I just saw them smoking some cigarettes and having a beer together. So, yeah, that was them. Anyway, let's move on to Pedro Porro. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 6. I thought he struggled a lot defensively in the first half. I thought, they were getting in behind him a couple of times. But I thought the majority of what we're doing going forward, he had his... he had his part to play. Obviously, it was his corner that forced the goal through. He put in a lovely cross for Richarlison for the offside goal as well. And I thought a couple of times he was putting in some nice balls.
Yeah, I felt his decision-making was really odd in terms of just such wayward passing a lot of the time. It was quite frustrating for me. There was a moment he took a throw-in, laid back to him, and he did this stupid volley right up in the air. And it was just putting us under pressure. Like, when he's in this mode, Porro, he can be quite frustrating. And obviously, he's been in this mode for quite a few games this season. But I agree with you. I think when we did go forward, he had a big part to play. Unfortunately, it was just so far between in the game. But he laid off a nice shot for bentancur right at the end as well. So was getting forward quite well. It wasn't a disaster, but I just thought it wasn't a great game from him.
Were the majority of those passes in the first half?
No, the one for bentancur was in the second half.
And the other ones?
Oh, you mean what part? The sloppy passes?
Yeah.
Can't remember. I think there was a bit of both, to be honest.
Because if they were, then I didn't see them. Because that side of the pitch was completely blocked for me.
There you go.
Let's move on to big Kevin Danso. 8s all round for Danso. And I thought in the first half he was struggling a little bit with Mateta and the physicality. But second half, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. The fans were waxing lyrical about him, singing his song time and time again. I thought he was aerially dominant. Massive part to why Palace was shut out a little bit in that second half. I mean, they did have a couple of chances, presentable ones as well, but not for the fault of Kevin Danso, because I thought he was immense in that second half.
Yeah, and he's the ball is like a magnet to his head, isn't it? At times during that second half when they're crossing the ball in like time after time, and he's just standing up and being counted, getting the blocks in. I thought he was brilliant. To be honest, I agree with you. First 20 minutes or so, or maybe even first half an hour, it was a big battle between him and Mateta. Mateta was really putting him under pressure. He was struggling to contain him, but once he got him under control, Mateta was all of a sudden in his pocket, and I felt he was really starting to dominate as the game went on and was having a really good game. He was a big part of why we won. Also played a really nice long pass over the top to Richarlison in the first half. Richarlison then took a heavy touch and forced the ball too far out wide, but that was a really good play from Danso. And I think in general, really strong showing, and especially with Romero out, he had to step up, and he did.
And the fans gave him 7.5. So again, right in between me and you.
Well, we both gave him an 8.
Oh, you gave him an 8.
Yeah.
So just below us. Just below us. Let's move on to Micky van der Ven. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. I thought he was immense, to be honest. I thought he was probably our best defender on the day. There was one challenge he put in. I think it was in the first half, where it was just unbelievable challenge, where he just like kind of wrapped himself around the Palace attacker. I don't think he came... I thought he dominated in the duels that he was contesting in, trying to drive up a little bit up the pitch. But yeah, I thought he was immense. Didn't put a foot wrong.
Didn't put a foot wrong, but I think Danso just did a bit more than him, so I gave Danso 1 extra point. But I think he was great. I had no complaints. I think him and Danso had a really good partnership. A few times the ball came over like down the line, and you just know when Van der Ven comes in and he's got his eye on the ball and he's steaming in. There's only one winner, isn't it, with Van der Ven? And attackers seem to be scared of him with that pace he has just coming towards them, and he was brilliant on that occasion. I thought some of his marking wasn't particularly great, but thankfully we didn't concede, which is fine. Yeah, I think he did pretty good.
Djed Spence, Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 7. I thought from a defensive capability, I thought he did well. There were times where he was trying to wriggle himself out of situations, and sometimes he would get past, sometimes he would lose the ball, which was a bit frustrating of how inconsistent it was. But yeah, look, I thought he was decent. I don't think he was anything great. I don't think he was poor. I think he put in a decent game, but I don't think he got dribbled past at all in the game. I thought he was defensively sound.
Yeah, I think he's probably thanking him, his lucky stars is up against Nathaniel Klein and not Munoz, because I think it could have been a very different game. But yeah, Spence kept him in his pocket pretty much the whole game. Who even played Deveni? Yeah, Deveni didn't have much joy down that side as well. I thought I think when they made a change, they started to get a bit more joy temporarily. But Spence had a pretty solid game. I think defensively was where most of his work was done. Wasn't really an effect in the forward line, to be honest. So didn't rate him too much higher than a 6, but I thought he defended pretty well.
And again, 6.7, a bit in between me and you. Next up is Rodrigo bentancur. Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. I thought he was really poor in the first half. I thought he was getting run circles around me. He looked a bit lost in the middle of the park. Second half, I thought he improved. But as he was kind of growing into the game, I thought he got taken off. So it was a good decision by Frank at the end of the day, because Paulinho played very well and gave us what we needed at that point in the game. But I felt just as he was growing into the game, he got taken off.
Didn't he play 90 minutes?
I thought he got taken off for Paulinho, didn't he?
No, because he had a shot in the 90th minute, didn't he, bentancur? Which was
well, I thought he got taken off. Clearly not.
Because he was on the other side of the pitch, that's why. Yeah, I didn't think he was spectacular. I thought there was also a point in that second half where Nketiah was getting around him and causing real problems, and that was a scary moment. But I also thought
mainly in the first half, though, wasn't it?
Well, Nketiah came on in the second half. First half as well, yeah.
No, you're right, actually. You're right, because I remember saying to the guy next to me, I said to him, Nketiah is giving bentancur the run around here.
Yeah, he was in that second half at times. But I thought, as you say, once we overrode that moment, he actually grew into it a lot late in the game and nearly scored a goal right at the end. So that was okay. But yeah, 6.2. You gave him a 5, I gave him a 6. So a bit higher than you and me.
First time. Archie Gray up next. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him an 8. Obviously gets his first goal for the football club. We won 1-0, and obviously it was his goal. That gives us the 3 points. So brilliant, and delighted for him to have that moment. And you saw how, his face was just beaming up the whole of Selhurst Park, to be honest. I thought he took a bit of a while to kind of grow into the game, and obviously Man City's midfield completely dominated ours in the first half. But I thought as the game wore on, he was getting better. And I thought he actually looked really good when he moved into a kind of offensive position in the midfield as well. Played that lovely ball for Kudus for Richarlison's offside goal. But yeah, I thought Archie was getting better and better, and maybe he could be a kind of stand-in 10 while Jabby's out.
And maybe Bergvall's out, so he might have to be. We'll have to wait and see what the state of his injury. I agree. I actually liked him in that position. Not sure. I think it was more the circumstance of the game. Palace opening up. There's a lot of space there, and he exploited it really well. If it was a different situation, would he have done as well? We'll never know. But it was a weird one from Archie. I actually didn't think he was having a great game in the first half, and I actually thought they were getting very close to him, and he was losing the ball with some sloppy touches and putting us under pressure. And I thought he was actually struggling, but it was almost as if that goal was a change for him. And once he headed that in the right at the end of the first half, he seemed to grow in confidence. And I thought that second half he was much better, much more controlled, wasn't giving the ball away as sloppily as he was, and actually thought he had a much better game. And obviously he was the match winner, so he gets an extra point for that. And as you say, when he moved into the 10, his passing was good. He was dangerous and unlucky, maybe not to be involved in another goal. So good, another good performance from Archie. And again, right in the middle of us too, 7.5.
Yeah, 7.5. Next up is Mohammed Kudus. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 6. Look, I felt in the first half he was our only kind of outlet of attack. You know, we were trying to get the ball to him. He was trying to do what we do and give it to Kudus and basically can see what happens. And I thought it was just very frustrating, wasn't it? It was very frustrating. Like, Kudus was doing... You know, his intent was there, but he just couldn't pull much off. Obviously, he gets the assist for the offside goal, which was a cross that was completely on the money for Richarlison.
Outside of the boot.
Yeah, it was lovely. It really was lovely. But I just came away from it more frustrated with Kudus than not. But probably no fault of his own, but just mainly the tactics on display on the day.
Yeah, it seems to be a common theme recently, is that fans are getting frustrated with Kudus. But I think if you watch the games back, I don't think it's much to do with him necessarily. I think there are a few times where maybe he could be a bit more direct, but if you just pause the game when he's on the ball, more often than not, he's got like 2 or 3 players around him, and there's not a player within 20 yards of him.
Yeah.
And it's he must be getting frustrated himself, and he's doing a lot of legwork with very little reward at the moment. And I think yesterday was the same. I didn't think it was a great game from him, to be honest, in general. Although I would say for both offside goals, he had a big part to play. One of them was nice interchange with him, bergvall and porro for the first goal, and then a brilliant outside of the boot cross for the second goal, which was really unlucky to be ruled out. So if it wasn't for the offside flag, I'd probably be giving him maybe a 7 or an 8. Unfortunately, the offside flag exists, and he, apart from the offside goals, didn't really affect the game too much.
Yeah. But the fans go for 6.7 for Mohammed Kudus. So
yeah, quite high.
So what did we give?
6 and a 5 and a 6.
Yeah, so they've gone a lot higher than us.
Yeah, a lot higher.
Let's go to Lucas Bergvall. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. I mean, he was on the pitch for an hour, right? And for that hour, I thought Spurs were really poor. And he was supposed to be the one in the 10 and one asking the questions of the Palace defence. And I don't think he was able to do that, to be honest. Obviously, tactics come into play, but we're talking about personal performance here. And I thought he put himself about, you know, he looked physically ready for the challenge and a lot of running and a lot of work rate, but not too much quality, I thought.
See, I disagree. I thought he was played pretty well. I actually think it was more of a 4-3-3 than a 4-2-3-1. I actually think Bergvall was playing quite a bit deeper. From what I could see, he didn't seem to be too advanced. I don't know if that was instruction or not, but he seemed to be quite a lot deeper during the game. And I actually thought there was some really good stuff from him, like quick interchanges. And I thought most of the time when we were able to get out of Palace's press, it was due to Bergvall doing something, a little interchange, a little flick into either Porro or Kudus' path, and we were able to get forward. I thought he was driving with the ball forward. Yeah, there was some sloppy moments as well, don't get me wrong, and we were penned in for a lot of that half, but I actually like Bergvall in this game, and he was unfortunately taken off with maybe an injury, but I didn't mind him.
Well, the fans go 6.2.
So closer to you than me.
Yeah. Kolo muani, 5s all round for muani, and I was frustrated when I saw the lineup knowing that he's on the left-hand side, and unfortunately I thought he put in a really poor display out on that left-hand side. I thought whenever he got the ball, I felt that the Palace players dealt with him pretty easily. A lot of loose touches in there from muani as well, which was really frustrating. But the one good thing he did in the game was keep the ball alive for the corner, which I thought he did really well. So he had a big impact in the goal that we scored, but apart from that, I thought he was really poor, to be honest.
He also won the corner, didn't he? That was also quite a good play, because if you watch the replay,
there's a penalty shout there.
He takes the control on his back heel, somehow gets it in front of him, then he takes on Guehi, but unfortunately Guehi blocks his shot. It was a bit of a penalty shout, but actually did quite well to win the corner as well. And then obviously from the corner did really well to keep the play alive. But I would say, it was difficult for him. I think he's I'm starting to think he's in the side for what he can do in terms of Tottenham playing long balls and getting the ball to him, because he can make it stick. Obviously, he can win headers. He's physical. And I think a big part of our game, and it definitely was at Brentford, is playing it long and winning those second balls. And once you get it down, having won that second ball, then you can start to play a bit once there's a bit more space. And I think that's what we're trying to do a lot of the time when we're going long to Richarlison. And I think getting Muani in there, because if you had odobert there, and we go long to him, he's going to have a harder time making it stick, isn't he? Whereas Muani is going to be a lot more combative, and we're going to get the ball in their half more if that's our approach. I would obviously argue we shouldn't go long as much as we are, but anyway, by the by, I think Muani did struggle in general play, didn't have too much of an impact on the game, especially on the left-hand side. But he tried his hardest. I could see a player trying, but unfortunately, he struggled.
Yeah. I just feel like he's a bit wasted out on that left-hand side. Like, he needs to be as a striker. He needs to be a striker. Would you, out of the two though, like Richarlison and Muani, who would you prefer out on the left if we have to play both of them?
Oh, Muani.
Play this? You prefer Muani?
Oh, definitely. I think Muani's been much better on the left. When we've seen Richie there in recent, I know Richie was great there for Everton, but I haven't seen him play well there once for us, really. But he did some good stuff in the Europa League, to be fair, off the left. But I think when you look at the skill sets of both players, I just think Muani offers more than
I just
Richie.
haven't been able to see it yet for Muani in a Spurs shirt on the left.
I'm not saying he offers a lot. I'm just saying more than Richie on the left.
All right, let's move on to Richie now. Well, by the way, the fans gave Muani a 6.
And we both gave him 5.
So still higher than us. Next up is Richarlison. See there, the fans have given him 7.5. And Simmer's given him an 8, and I've given him a 7. Look, he was fantastic. Obviously, he has the ball in the net twice. One of them was the offside for bergvall. The other one was Richarlison in the stands. I thought they were both Richarlison. So I was going mad at Richarlison. Why can't he stay onside, man?
I think he might have been offside for both as well, to be honest. I think actually he might have been offside for the first, but they didn't get to that because bergvall was off before.
But what he was doing, he was tiring out their defence. He was literally non-stop. He was facing them up all the time. He was a bit of a battering ram. He didn't stop running throughout the whole game, showing bits of quality as well. On another day, he even showed some quality in terms of his chance creation as well. Obviously, he gets an assist for a good header in the box. But on another day, he could have ended that game with a couple of goals and a couple of assists.
Yeah, for sure. I thought he was brilliant. I was shocked when I've seen some people complaining about him after the game. I thought he was really good. That was one of his stronger performances, to be honest. I thought up against Lacroix and Guehi were two top centre-backs. I thought he gave him a real tough time. And physically as well, I was really surprised how he was able to compete against both of them. I thought he was going to really struggle. And I think, look, for large parts, that they were getting the better of him, but there was a large part, there were significant parts, I should say, of the game where he was going toe-to-toe and battling and winning headers. In fact, you look at the stats, I was really surprised. He won 9 of his 15 aerial duels. Wow. So winning, that was a lot against Lacroix and Guehi, who were 2 of the best. Also won 3 out of 5 ground duels. So he was a real menace to them. He didn't make it easy. And also 3 key passes, 1 big chance created, and obviously 1 assist. I thought the finishes for the goals were pretty good. Unfortunately, they were offside, so he doesn't get anything for those. There was 1 chance as well he definitely should have done better with, where I think we win it hard the pitch, we play him in on goal, and it was a terrible finish. But I also thought he did really well linking up with odobert when he came on. I thought their synergy was really good.
That little 1-2 was brilliant, yeah.
There was that, but there was no. He also did another 1-2 where odobert got in behind and cut it across the face of goal, so that was also good. And I thought he linked up really well with Brennan. He played Brennan in a couple of times, which he probably could have done better, and I think Brennan played him in. So I thought his link up with the forward line was great. I thought his hold up play was great. I thought his work rate was great. I just thought it was a top striker performance. If he performed like this every week, we wouldn't have that much of an issue. I thought he played really well.
Yeah, no, I do agree. I think in terms of our offensive players, he was the best of the lot for sure. But yeah, the fans give him a 7.5. So again, right halfway in between me and you. We move on to the substitutes. First off, João Palhinha, who didn't come on for Bentancur, but he came on for bergvall, who went off injured. Yes. But Palhinha, I thought he came on a bit like Ron Seal, does what it says on the tin, puts in a couple of really good challenges, started to help us win that midfield battle and kind of hurt Crystal Palace on the transition, and I think he had a vital part of that. I was really happy with the way he played when he came on.
Yeah, it was a really good cameo and just what we needed as well at the time when under the cosh, we just needed someone just destroying, because I felt like Palace were just, they were playing too many passes and they were building ahead of steam without anyone interrupting them. And Paulinho just came on and he was kind of interrupter in chief, wasn't he? He was just tasked with breaking up all their moves and making sure it's much more difficult for them to build up their attacking moves. And I thought he did a really good job with that. So I think, to be honest, a few times now Paulinho has come on in this kind of role and we're winning. I think against Brentford as well, he came on for the last half an hour and was brilliant.
Yeah.
I think in this kind of role, it really suits him, especially in this game state when we're winning. And then we just need someone to keep breaking up their play. I think that really suits him, because when you've got a team, when you're ahead and you're protecting your lead, you've got a team when we're defending a bit more and the space is tighter, and you've got someone like Paulinho who's just basically kicking your shins, and every time you get near a box, he's kicking it away. That gets really frustrating, I think, for the opposition. So I think this is a role that's quite tailor-made for him.
Yeah, it's the best role for him in the squad, coming on those in the latter stages of the game and just helping us see out the game. I think, 100%, doing very well at that. But the fans have the exact same opinion as us for the first time in the player rating. 7.0 for João Palhinha from you guys out there. Let's move on to Wilson Odobert. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 7. Maybe an 8 is a bit fair. I thought Odobert was fantastic. He was electric when he came on. Against the tired legs of Palace, they just couldn't handle him. He was getting in behind. He was providing some really nice link-up play, creation, had that shot that cannoned off the post. I mean, the guy was relentless down that left-hand side, and maybe staking a claim for a start. But
not the first time has he staked a claim for a start.
Yeah, look, he's come on in a couple of games and looked electric. So maybe this is a good role for him, coming off the bench against tired legs. But how long can Frank ignore him if he keeps making these cameos?
But I don't understand why he ignored it. Like he was in good form, and then he just suddenly he had that one bad game against Arsenal and just basically not played as much since then.
I know.
It's just very strange. Even against United, came on, was brilliant, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Was that before or after Arsenal? I think it might be after.
That was before.
It came in before, but
it was the game before, yeah.
The game before. So I don't understand why he's underutilised him as much as he has. I think he's actually looked quite good. I know, I'm not saying he's... Yes, where Tottenham are, of course, we want at least a much better talent in that area. But I think for what he is, for his age and whatever, I think he's been playing quite well. Like, I don't have a massive problem with him. And he was really unlucky not to get a goal contribution. I thought he linked up really well with Richie. One thing that really stood out to me, which really surprised me, was there was a long ball that came over the top. He's chasing it down with Lacroix. Lacroix's looking favourite for it, and he somehow out-muscles Lacroix and gets ahead of him and creates an opportunity from it. I was like, wow, how is he, Odobert, this guy who's seen as like a lightweight winger, how is he out-muscling Lacroix? I couldn't believe that. And I'm like, maybe that's something he's been working on, because that was really impressive. He seemed more confident as well, taking some more shots. Obviously, that one that hit the post was, a bit of instinct, but I liked it. It was really good technique. And really unlucky not to create a goal for, I think, Porro and bentancur right at the end. So really great cameo. And they also resorted to fouling him. They couldn't really get the ball off him as well, which obviously relieves the pressure. So that was a really great cameo from him.
Let's hope we can see some more of the same. But, Matty's tail doesn't even get on the pitch. Other players that came on that we haven't given a rating to Brennan Johnson. I thought he was lively down that right-hand side, and he provided a really good outlet for us on the transition. I was happy with Brennan Johnson's last bit of cameos. He really helped us. And Radu Dragusin, really good to see him back. Nearly a year out, and with his first touch, he put the ball in the back of the net, which is crazy. But I like what I saw from Dragusin yesterday. He looked really comfortable on the pitch.
Yeah, just helped us see out the game. I didn't look out of place. He looked confident as well. Wasn't scared to get involved in those duels. That was good. And just great to see him. And obviously, 2 years ago, bentancur at Selhurst Park coming back, and now Dragusin in the same ground. So that's obviously great. In terms of Johnson, I thought it was a really good cameo. And I liked what he showed. Just stretched Palace and was running in behind, something that Kudus just doesn't do. I feel if Kudus just had that in his game, he would be so much more of a complete player. But there was one moment in the game that really frustrated me, and again, I do think it comes down to Thomas Frank, because he must be telling Johnson or every player to do this. There was a chance, he's in on goal, he's yes, the angle's quite wide, but we know Johnson is very good at firing it across the face of goal into that far corner. We've seen him do it a few times now for Tottenham, and especially for Forest. That was one of his basically textbook Johnson finishes. And he had again Same against Newcastle and same in this game. He had a chance to shoot from a tight angle across that far corner, and this was a more favourable angle than the other one. And he decides to pass it inside instead of shooting into a riskier pass, which will end up being cleared. And that's not the first time. And I'm so sure it comes from the fact that Frank is drilling into them. This is a low XG area. You're better off trying to pass it to a player inside for a higher XG chance than going for goal yourself. And I'm just thinking Johnson knows how to score from that area. He's got to be encouraged to shoot rather than always looking for the pass, because if players are going to back off you, because everyone was backing off him and basically giving him the free shot, but he still decided to pass, because I'm pretty sure that is what the instruction is in that area. And that frustrates me because he's such a good finisher.
Yeah, it's true. But he got down to the byline once, put a lovely cross.
Yeah, that's good.
Lovely cross, and no one was there to finish it. Like, where was everyone? Like, it was perfect. That was the game there. But we won it anyway, so it didn't matter. But moving on to Thomas Frank, 7s all round for Thomas Frank. I thought he managed this game. His in-game management in this game was pretty good, to be honest, because I think the subs that he made really did, pull the game into our favour. João Palhinha and Wilson Odobert obviously came on and did really well. The starting lineup, I mean, the only problem I had with the starting lineup was having Kolo Muani out on that left-hand side. But regardless of whatever starting lineup he plays, it's just a bit of a laborious watch most of the times. And look, Palace dominated us for the first hour of this game. And Palace could have scored a couple of goals, so it wasn't great for the first hour. But we got ourselves in front. He made the changes, and we didn't really look like conceding after the changes were made. So good in-game management, but need to sort out the rest of the game.
Yeah, I think the tactic was a smart tactic for this game in terms of giving Palace possession. If I look at the stats, they had overall 62% possession, and I don't know for a fact, but if I was to guess, I would guess that's their highest possession stats.
I thought it was
of the season.
I thought it was. Didn't someone say it?
I don't know where that is. Anyway, I'm pretty sure it is. There. Where's possession?
Next to XGA.
Oh, yeah. So there you go. So I think that was intentional from Frank to give them the ball, give them the ascendancy, and ask them to break you down, and then we'll hit them on the counter. And I think it definitely worked for the last 15 minutes. And maybe the whole game plan was to gear up for that moment, keep it tight, maybe nick a goal, make sure you're not giving them any easy chances or any easy transitions, which we know Palace really like. They're very good in their transitions. And then once we know maybe they're starting to tire a bit, or once it's more difficult for them, you really try and kill the game off in the second half. And, from that point of view, I think tactically that element worked, because I do think Palace in general, they didn't maybe create the chances in the manner they usually do, which is quick transitions, one quick passing, and then they're in on goal and that kind of stuff. We didn't afford them that. But what I would say is the defending for a lot of their crosses was poor, to be honest. On another day, at least one of those goes in. Mateta, Guehi, Deveni, Lacroix all had very, very good opportunities. So our defending from inside the box from crosses wasn't particularly great. I thought our defending from open play when it comes to shots from around the edge of the area was better. We were getting more blocks in and stuff like that. And I thought we were a lot more better in transition late in the game, a lot more better on the counter attack, and should have killed off the game. So that was good. I thought the substitutions were really good. They really affected the game positively. So I'm going to give them credit for that as well. So there was some good stuff how he managed the game, but I do think he's quite fortunate we end up with a 1-0 win.
Yeah, look, I think we had 2 offside goals in there as well.
Yeah, so from that point of view, we're unfortunate.
So,
but then again, if we concede an offside goal, you don't really say, "Oh, we should have conceded there."
It's not, but you're saying if they had better finishing, they would have scored. If we, stayed on side a little, we would have had more goals as well. So I mean, it's give and take, isn't it?
I guess.
So, look, I thought we did well for the most part, and. Would you say was the deserved result out of that game? A draw, a win, a loss?
I would say 1-1 was probably a deserved result. I think, look, we did well to win. I wouldn't say we necessarily, watching the game, we definitely deserved to win. But I wouldn't say, it's hard to say we got lucky, because I think it was intentional the way we played. So, albeit Palace had chances from crosses and stuff, We did restrict them in terms of like clear-cut one-on-ones with keeper and stuff like that. Every chance they had to really battle for, and they had to scrap for their chances. But they, even within that, they did still create good chances. But the fact that if you look at all their chances, there's always like players around them, right? There's always players they got to beat to score the goal. It wasn't just a one-on-one with the keeper or a real presentable chance. So from that point of view, it's not luck, but we still conceded some really presentable chances. And for large parts of the game, we looked really bad on the ball.
Yeah, look, which will happen to anyone at Selhurst Park, you know, conceding presentable chances. But I felt in the last 20 minutes was probably the best period that anyone had in the game over Palace and Tottenham. I felt like the pressure that we were putting them under for those last 20 minutes was probably the best spell anyone had.
Probably. I would say for the first 20 minutes of that half, they should have scored.
Yeah, they had some good chances, but I
think
still
they probably had the better chances.
I don't think it was like...
I mean, they had a higher XG than us.
Yeah, they did have an higher XG, and look, they had some good chances which they didn't put away, granted, but I just felt like it wasn't like consistent. I felt like the last 20 minutes for Spurs was like consistent pressure for 20 minutes. They just had a few moments, I felt, in the first 20 minutes.
I would say it's the opposite, but fair enough.
Well, there you go. That is our player ratings.